Mystery booms that come out of nowhere and have indiscernible sources scare people and leave them wondering what just happened. Every week you can find reports of mystery booms in the news where residents report a surprising, loud noise that shakes their house and rattles their windows. This is not a new phenomenon. Reports of such sounds can be traced back through news accounts from over a century ago. In this video, I'll give you a comprehensive look at what could be causing mystery booms, or what some people call skyquakes, and why it's usually quite difficult to pinpoint the source. I'll explain the several human sources of mystery booms, several potential natural causes, and finally, how to approach solving a mystery boom that you experience. End times commenters are ever ready to use reports of mystery booms as an indication that something frightening is going on within the planet, or that we are on the brink of an extraterrestrial threat. Instead of belief-based speculation, we can make educated conclusions about the sources of mystery booms through examination of the observable characteristics of each event, including when it occurs, how often, the weather conditions, and the locations affected. We can place mystery booms into different categories based on location, land-based booms and coastal booms, and based on the frequency of the events. One-time events with single or double noises, multiple occurrences over a defined time span, and repeated or historically reoccurring events. Certain sources of loud booms will have different characteristics. For example, a sonic boom will often produce a double boom sound one after the other. And some booms will be accompanied by a flash of light, which is not often noticeable in the daytime. Single booms are obviously harder to pinpoint. Explosions are often one-off events, whether they are manufactured or accidental. Cultural-related noises are more likely during weekends or holidays when people are engaging in blowing things up for fun. Let's start with the many and various sources of modern civilization. The full extent of all the potential causes of land-based booms may be undefinable, but I'll point out the most common. A top candidate for mystery booms are explosions, either accidental, such as natural gas or chemical explosion or transformer explosion. The explosion may also be deliberate, such as use of tannerite, fireworks, or other novelty explosives. Bird cannons are propane or gas-powered cannons that create loud booms on a regular basis to scare away nuisance birds and wildlife. You may recall the recent incidents in the news of couples using tannerite explosions in gender reveal events. The company that manufactures this exploding substance markets pre-packaged gender reveal kits that blow up with blue or pink dust. Quarrying or rock blasting creates noise, but these blasts are typically required to adhere to a disclosed schedule, and those nearby such a facility are typically used to what those sound like. Other industrial noise may not be predictable. Factories or facilities may produce unexpectedly loud booms as a result of regular or irregular activity. Trains and trucks can make very loud booms. Cargo loading and unloading areas are particularly loud. Trucks traveling over a bridge or hitting potholes can create an annoyingly loud sound. If you live within 20 miles or so of a military facility, you will know how loud training activities can be. As with mine blasting, the facility usually lets neighbors know when to expect some particularly loud periods. Related to military facilities are the frequency of sonic booms created by supersonic jet aircraft. People offshore on both coasts of the U.S. report frequent jet test flights that break the sound barrier. Pilots are not permitted to do this over land, even though that does sometimes happen. The lay of the land also has an impact on whether you hear the noise or not. Those living in a valley may hear a noise, but those on the other side of the mountain might not, depending upon the location of the source. Low-frequency noises travel much farther than high-frequency noise, and weather conditions affect how far and in what direction sound travels. How noticeable these sounds are, how far they travel, and how loud they seem are dependent upon proximity but also weather conditions. A temperature inversion, or layer of warm air or cloud cover, can transmit the sound waves close to the ground more effectively, or even cause the sound to reflect or refract off the layer and be directed back to the ground. So a very loud sound that takes place at a good distance can be directed to a different area. The sound can be distorted if it bounces around a lot. Thunder is frequently amplified by these conditions, and the phenomenon is sometimes referred to as atmospheric ducting. Weather factors make it very difficult to pinpoint the source of a mystery boom. Booms from the causes so far mentioned might be traceable back to their source if there is a record of their occurrence or some evidence of the cause. But most often, mystery booms remain a mystery because they are fleeting, leave no trace, and are locationally hard to pinpoint. The term Skyquake appeared in online usage around 2004 to describe booms that have no readily discernible source. The term might refer to a noise caused by those human activities previously mentioned, but skyquakes can be a result of atmospheric ducting of both natural and artificial noise from far away. Thus, the receptors, or people affected by the noise, are at a loss as to where it originated. It just sounds like it came from the sky. In attempting to find the source of a mystery noise, it helps to know the areal extent of the sound, if it was very local, or heard across half a state. These days, many homeowners capture singular mystery booms on their home outdoor surveillance equipment. This recording can help determine the general sense of the sound and direction. Next, let's consider some natural explosive sounds. Obviously, thunder is the most common low-frequency boom that we all know. Those who experience a mystery boom will often compare it to the sound of thunder. If it seems that it's not obviously thunder, like on a clear day, the next go-to natural source is earthquake. Large earthquakes do more than create booming sounds, but small, shallow earthquakes are more common than people think. Multiple booms over several days, weeks, or years that can't be pinpointed to any known source may be indicative of shallow earthquakes. Tiny seismic events under magnitude 2 can make a lot of noise when you are near the epicenter. The energy released from the subsurface can manifest as sound when transmitted into the air. Shallow earthquakes may not create perceptible shaking at all and may only be noticeable from their booming sound. The most famous place of bad noises in the U.S. is Moodus, Connecticut, where seismic waves from tiny, shallow quakes can be converted into sound waves in the atmosphere, resulting in a very localized perception of booms at certain times. Several other places in New England also have shallow quakes that make booming sounds. These small earthquake swarms are unpredictable. No place in the U.S. is immune to at least small earthquakes, but some places experience swarms of small quakes that cause frequent reports of booms. It's not always clear why this happens. Examples of such noisy swarms of shallow quakes include 1971 at Blue Mountain Lake in the southern Adirondacks of New York, Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, 2008 to 2009, Oklahoma starting in 2009 to the present induced by injection of wastewater, and most recently in Peabody, Massachusetts in 2021. When a mystery boom is reported, officials usually immediately check with local geological monitoring stations to see if a small quake was recorded. That's not a guarantee that it was or wasn't an earthquake. It could have been too small to have been captured by the current network of seismic stations. Moodus noises, for example, were only heard in a very small area of a few acres near the epicenter. Other non-seismic related rock movements can also create booms. Subsidence of abandoned underground mine voids might register as small earthquakes and create a booming noise. Recently, karst activity underground has been implicated in mystery booming sounds, especially after a very large storm event that can cause huge volumes of water at high velocity to travel through underground void space, possibly moving debris along with it. Frost quakes, known as cryoseisms, occur in temperate climates where water in rock fractures or joints freezes and expands into ice, causing the rock slabs to split. These can be accompanied by a loud noise and sometimes show up on the surface as heaves in the ground. Frostquakes are rare, but do happen under the right weather conditions and might be a source of some wintry mystery booms. On the opposite end of the temperature scale, spontaneous rock exfoliation can also occur under conditions of thermal stress, but these events are more likely to be extremely localized and easily discernible. They don't make as much noise, more of a pop than a boom. As for other geological activities, some are certainly very loud. In specific areas, booms can come from volcanic eruptions, land movements like rock slides, or from methane explosions, such as underwater mud volcanoes, permafrost collapse, or seafloor bubbles. But if something of this nature occurs, the source usually isn't unknown for long. Now we come to a very common source of mystery booms, but it's not something that immediately comes to mind: space rocks. Meteors entering the Earth's atmosphere most often burn up or explode before reaching the ground. And there are a lot of tiny bits of space rock raining down on us. Meteor explosions might be visible as a fireball or flash in the sky, but if it's cloudy or very sunny, the flash may be visible only on satellite imagery or not at all. The huge explosion at Tunguska in Siberia in 1908 was an airburst of a bolide. This boom was potentially the loudest sound on Earth in human history, rivaled only by the Krakatoa volcanic eruption of 1883. Both would qualify as the most massive skyquakes ever heard by people all around the world. Many mystery booms are likely caused by meteor outbursts, but we may never be able to definitively determine that. The phenomenon of recurring booms is also known as brontides. They are also called water guns or land guns because they sound like cannon fire or rifle reports. Brontides phenomenon received scientific attention decades ago, but the sources of the sounds are still unconfirmed. They are common enough around the world that they are often named after a place. Water guns are booms that occur along the edges of oceans, lakes, or river deltas. Explanations for water guns are just as speculative as for land booms and include waves breaking offshore, landslides or sand movement on the riverbanks, or detonation of underwater gas. The particular features of water guns is that the water surface may transmit sound a far distance. We still don't know what causes the water gun's noise. The Barisal guns are known from the Ganges Delta area in India. Reports exist from the 1870s when explosives and cannons were nowhere around and firearms were scarce. The booming sound is reported as sometimes solitary, but can be in triplets. Barisal gun events were often associated with rain, suggesting a possible explanation of far-off thunder transmitted long distances. Another idea based on the location was that distant volcanic or seismic sounds were transmitted over or reflecting off the water surface. Related to this, some scientists speculated that shallow quakes resulted from the cumulative weight of sediment deposited in delta areas. Similar booming noises have been reported all along the eastern North America coast, from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico, often in the same location over time. Seneca guns are known from Seneca Lake in New York. They are so well known that the media may refer to other instances of water guns as Seneca guns. Other lakes around the world have their own lake guns as well. Brontidi are known from the Italian peninsula. Hanley's guns in Victoria, Australia. Mistpoofers are known from the coasts of northern Europe to Iceland, particularly from Belgium and France. Their tendency to occur on warm, foggy days has earned them the translation of fog dissipators. Uminari in Japan are described as the sound of waves breaking offshore. The lines of waves can produce a cannonading sound audible some ways inland. Lake roar from several alpine lakes may possibly be related to karst caverns and wind. And finally, booms reported from Bedouins in the Egyptian desert might possibly be the result of sand dunes collapsing. If you experience a mystery boom in your neighborhood, here's what to do. Note the time and characteristic of the event and the general direction from which you perceived it came. Check social media to see if anyone else heard it and has reliable information. Refrain from reporting to emergency services unless you notice a related surface effect, such as a power outage or fire. Multiple events should be reported to appropriate officials, but they will appreciate a detailed record of the occurrences. Trying to investigate mystery booms on your own is almost always futile and potentially dangerous. The boom sound is a fundamental noise element that can be created by so many sources where air is displaced rapidly or explosively. As I said at the beginning, it's impossible to list all the potential sources for mystery booms, but here's a short list of the most common possibilities. The immediacy of social media connections we have today allows us to readily share our observations worldwide. Prior to this, these noises might have been brushed off or simply didn't make the news. Therefore, occurrences of mystery booms appear as if they're more frequent today. It's not clear if this is because we hear more of the incidents through the news or if the world is really more noisy. Speculative and fringe ideas about the causes of skyquakes have gained popularity over the past 10 years. But as I've shown here, there is no reason to invent an extreme cause when there are so many earthbound ones. Mystery booms may be spooky, but they aren't precursors to the apocalypse. They are often just the normal noises of the earth and of our human actions.